Guys, Nate here with Murray Farm and Ranch. I'm over here at the shop tonight and just finished up a project that I want to kind of show you guys a little bit about and just kind of show you what I've been working on. It's kind of a fun project to get completed, and what was really cool about this project is I literally bought nothing. I had all this stuff was just scrap, and put it together to make something that should be really useful here on the farm. So let's get into it. Here's the project, guys, and some of you are probably like, what in the world is that? Well, what it is a chicken tractor. It's my version of a chicken tractor, and Tara and I have been wanting to get into raising pastured poultry for a while. And I've been doing research, and what I was originally going to use wood, but with all the stuff going on lately, wood is just crazy expensive, and I really couldn't justify paying so much for wood for a chicken tractor. You know, to put one together that really that wasn't going to have a lifespan worth what I had to put into it. So what I did is I went rummaging around the farm, and I found some scrap metal, and I literally had to buy nothing for this. And I want to show you guys kind of what I did, how I put it together, and why I think this is going to be a great chicken tractor for the farm. And I'm going to tell you guys what I would do a little bit different on the next ones when I actually purchase some materials. This is the front. I've got it setting on a block so that I can easily move it around and get into it. So what these two things are here in the front, these are actually handles, and this tractor is going to have tires in the back, and so you can pick it up and move it forward or backward with these handles. And so how I fashioned this thing was, it's basically out of square tubing and C-purling. Every bit of this was leftover materials from old projects. And the bottom, the base, is basically like a metal version of Joel Salatin's tractor. It stands about 30 inches or 24 inches high, I believe, and I just welded it together to make a big 8x8 rectangle. And where things got different is up here. Joel Salatin tractor does not have a top, or it has a top, but it's not like a walk-in type coupe. And I wanted to be able to get into our coupe. I wanted to be able to get in there in case there was a bird that needed, attention, or whatever the reason may be. I also like the idea of the chickens being able to roost up on something instead of being on the ground. So what I've got here is horse panels. These are galvanized horse panels, and so because they're galvanized, you have to take some precautions with welding. But what I did was I tacked them on the bottom, and I left enough room down here so that I could, just enough room to where I could attach my wire. And then I tacked them on top, and then basically I just let them make a big hoop. And I did the same thing on the other side. The next consideration was, what was I going to cover this thing in? And I already had a bunch of this poultry netting. And this stuff, is not the greatest. It's definitely not as sturdy and strong as something like a welded wire. But I had a bunch of this, and I felt like I could make it work. So what I did was I took a panel, and I basically trimmed off, and I welded this piece of panel to make a lip, something to tie to. And so I used these little rings all over the place. I mean, there's literally hundreds of these rings that have attached to these panels. So I outlined everywhere that there was going to be poultry netting, I outlined it with these panel pieces, and it gave me something to securely attach the poultry netting to. And it's really, you know, there's not a lot of give in it. It's really pretty tight, pretty firm, and I don't think that things are going to easily be able to get in this. So here we are from the back, and so I've got an open back, and then I put some panels along the bottom. So these panels, I wanted to use aluminum. I heard Joel Salatin say once that you definitely want to use aluminum panels on your tractors because they don't get as hot and they reflect more heat. And so on the bottom back and on the front, I put some panels. And basically that is so that the birds would have a place to kind of get refuge from wind, or if there was like some really driving rain, then they would be able to get out of the rain a little bit. The wheel section, what I did here is there's that's a 5/8 inch, that tire has a 5/8 inch hole in it. So it basically I used a 5/8 inch bolt as a axle, and I welded that through that C-purling. And then I put a handle down here on the bottom, and this handle, of course you don't want there to be a gap when you've got your birds in. So what I did is I put this handle so that I can easily pick it up and take the wheel off and set it down flat against the ground. So each side has the same setup. On the top, what I've got up there is a canvas, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the canvas on it or whether I'll buy just a white tarp. That canvas is pretty nice stuff. It's super heavy duty. I'm not sure how hot that will get or how much heat that will keep in, and so I may need to switch that out, but I had it, and so I just draped it over there just to kind of see what it would look like with a covering. That's it is a 8x12 canvas. So that kind of gives you an idea on what you're looking at if you were to do something similar with dimensions. And like I said, this one is 8x8 and then two 16-foot cattle panels arched over the top. And so lastly is the door. So this door is just framed out of some 1-inch tubing. I did the same kind of thing with the cattle panel. Basically, I just cut it into pieces. It gave me something firm that doesn't give at all to tie the metal to. And I used a combination of hog rings and then also some wire that I just twisted, and it made this a pretty nice door. I went ahead and used welded wire on the front. Felt like it would be more sturdy. You know, we'll be coming and going out of the door a lot, and so I felt like the poultry netting may tear up faster. As far as our hinges, I went with a bullet hinge. I like these things. They're super smooth. They have a grease cert down here that lets you, keep them nice and greased up. So it's got two hinges on it. But overall, I think this thing's going to get the job done. So what we have here is, 8x8, so 64 feet of room to raise birds. From what I understand, birds need about 1.5 feet per bird for pastured meat birds when you're moving them every day. So at 8x8, it's 64 square feet divided by 1.5. That means that I could theoretically get 42 birds in this chicken tractor. I always lean a little more towards being conservative with the numbers per square foot. I like to give birds plenty of room. I feel like I feel like with any animal, if you've got them packed in too tight, they're more likely to fight and pick at each other and get sick and so forth. And so what I'll probably do with this is if 64 would theoretically raise 42, what I'll probably do is like 30, 35, something like that. So after making this thing, you know, I've kind of thought back on, you know, if I'm going to pay to make one, what would I do a little different? And number one, this thing is way too, you know, it's got so much structurally heavy material in it. Most of this stuff, this C-purling, this square tubing was actually left over from my shop that we're in. And so, I mean, this stuff is meant to carry huge loads, and it's way overkill for a chicken tractor, but it's what I had. And so, I mean, I'm gonna use it. The poultry netting is another thing. I really like welded wire. I think welded wire is just, I like it better. It's sturdier. I don't think stuff can get their hands in so easy. And I probably would do something different on the top on the next one. But like I said, you know, you're going to use what you got, or at least I did. And then as far as the top, you know, most of the Suscovich chicken tractors, they have a white tarp, and I've seen a similar type of tarp at like Tractor Supply and Orscheln's and so forth, and they're cheap. These canvas, they're expensive. You know, they're 60, 70 bucks for a canvas, and so I probably would use something else on the top. But overall, I think this thing is going to be awesome. Can't wait to get it out on pasture with some birds in it. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Just kind of a quick rundown of how we put this chicken tractor together. If you really enjoyed it, you want to see in more detail how I did it, I probably will build another one in the future. And if you guys really want to see exactly how I do it, I can put together a tutorial on exactly the cuts I make and so forth, and you know, how I went about piecing it together. Well, guys, I think the chicken tractor is ready for its maiden voyage. Got it loaded up here on the trailer, and I'm going to take it back over to the house and get it set out on some green pasture, let a couple of chickens run around in it, see what they think about it. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe, and we'll see you back for the next one. God bless.